All right, we're going to break from the phone calls right now and introduce to you someone that's well known in the Okanagan Valley, Arlene Gall. Arlene has written a book on the Ogopogo. Good morning, Arlene.
Good
How are you?
Good morning, John. Morning, Teresa.
Good morning, Arlene.
How many sightings have you documented?
Literally hundreds. Literally hundreds.
When was the first sighting?
The very first sighting was in 1852. The first documented sighting in 1852.
Okay, 1852, and it's now 1980. Do we take it to mean that there must be more than one Ogopogo?
There definitely appear to be more than one.
There has been a film that was made, and I think it was back in 1968. It's pretty hard not to believe when you see it right in front of your eyes. Tell us about that film this morning.
The Folden film was taken in 1968 by a gentleman by the name of Art Folden. He was returning from a trip to his home in Chase. And as he neared Peachland area, he spotted an object out on the lake, and he said to his wife, "Look, there's Ogopogo." And she laughed at him. And he got out and started filming the creature. And what we see in the film is a large animate object moving through the water, surfacing and submerging at various speeds and at various times. And it also shows the creature taking off at very high speed, producing a massive weight. And this is the footage in the film that I like very much, because you see a creature just pushing water something terrifically with a massive wake in front, just creating huge wave action. This is believability on my part.
Have there been any recent sightings?
We've had approximately 7 to 8 sightings this year, but we have one that has been the very best sighting.
Why?
It was the Rieger family.
Beautiful day. The water was just as calm as glass. When I just took a look across, I could see a big wave coming. And at that time, I just didn't take much notice of it, and it kept coming closer, and I thought to myself, why would there be a wave coming if there's no wind or anything? So I called to my son. I says, "Come on back here," and I says, "Take a look and see if you think what the heck's coming down the lake here." So he took a look at it, and he says, "Gee, I don't know." So we had his grandson. My grandson was along too. And he said, "Hey, Grandpa," he says, "that's the Ogopogo." It would have ran right into us, but we had to weir the boat off alongside. And then we followed it alongside for about, maybe 15 to 20 minutes. And I'd say the monster was possibly 14 to 16 feet long, which was above water, sticking above about 3 feet. And had quite a hump on the front shoulders and had a hump on the back where the tail went. And I'd say the tail was approximately probably 30, 40, maybe 50 feet, because we couldn't see the end of it. But he did have a long tail. He had 4 legs, and I'd say the monster weighed approximately maybe 30 ton.
And his head in the front was moving from side to side. It seemed like he was looking for fish or feeding or something like that, and he was stirring up a tremendous amount of water.
If I would have never seen it, I would have never believed it. And actually, I don't care if anybody believes me or not, but I've seen this animal, and I know it's here, and I know it's a tremendous-sized animal.
It was some sort of we call it a monster fish, for lack of a better word, but it was approximately 30 to 35 feet in length, and its head was protruding out of the water, and you could see the flagell action of the tail and the waves going beyond it. And I took 2 pictures of it.
Well, you said it was roughly similar to this? What was different?
Similar to this. I couldn't see these fins on the side,
okay,
because they were, that is the fish that I saw, or whatever, they were not within sight. I mean, I could only see the head, and the neck, and like the upper part of the body.
This is Kent Hovind from Pensacola, Florida. I'm here in Canada at the 100 Huntley Street program. Several years ago, I think 1994, when I was here on the program, I brought my book from Dr. Roy Mackal, A Living Dinosaur, and Cal, who's sitting here beside me, Bombay, said, he said, "Well, I was in Africa and I saw something like that, a dinosaur." And I turned to this page 256 in Roy Mackal's book, and Cal, you said, "Hey, I saw one of those. Would you take just a few minutes and tell the folks what you saw, and where you work, and if they can get a hold of you for any questions, and just describe what you saw."
Well, it's probably one of the most startling experiences I've ever had. It was about in 1963, I think, and I was on my way through the old roads of Kenya back to Nairobi to to pick up a car. So I was taking this old Chevrolet that was almost too big for those roads, for the potholes, and I was going rather slow. And it was a hilly country near a place called Muhoroni, and that's down in the Rift Valley, but a hilly part of the Rift Valley. As we came up over the brow of the hill, my wife was with me, and suddenly laying there in front of us, right across the road, 7, 8, 9 feet long, was what I thought at first was a crocodile. And I thought, no, it can't be a crocodile. This is a dry part of the country. And then as I looked at it, we slowed down and stopped the car, actually, and stood and sat there for 10 minutes looking at this. And as I looked at it, I thought, this is, I mean, the actual word prehistoric went through my mind. I said, this can't be real. I've seen pictures like this, but not quite like this one. Anyway, from the tail right through to the back of its head were I don't know what you call them.
Serrations, ridges.
Ridges, like triangulars, perfect triangles, all the way from the tail to the head to the tail, and it was just laying squatted down on the road, seeming to sun. And so I looked at the thing for 10 minutes. I could shoot myself for not having my camera with me that day,
right.
But I wish I had. But there it was, and I had never seen anything like it, and nor before nor since. And I've asked people. In fact, I went to the Natural Museum and said, have you ever seen anything or heard of anything in Kenya of this nature? And they said, no, there's nothing like that alive today. I said, I saw something. And I argued with them really rather intently for a while, and they said, well, it must have been a figment of your imagination. Well, my wife and I both saw it, and we asked for several years, we asked anybody if they'd ever seen anything like that. Nobody had, nor have I since. But there it was, laying on the road. After about 10 minutes, it stood up, not quite as high as this drawing, but it just kind of wandered off into a very dry part of the country, bushy a little bit, not much greenery. It was a dry time of the year, and it just took off. And Mary and I just kind of looked at each other in wonder, saying, what in the world is this thing?
What color was it?
It was kind of dusty gray.
Okay. Could you see the eyes?
Yeah, they'd blink. In fact, it turned its head and looked at us. You know, it didn't seem to be afraid of us.
Could you tell from the pupil of the eyeball, was it slotted or round? Or couldn't you see that? Not that close?
I don't think I was close enough to see that.
Was the shape of the snout like a crocodile?
More like a crocodile than a hippo, say.
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
It had a long face. Now, some of the African people I asked, they said, oh, that was a monitor lizard. Well, I said, impossible. I've seen many monitor lizards. I've never seen one 9 feet long.
Right.
Never as long as that. And I've actually killed a couple of monitor lizards with my car. And they're smooth-skinned and no ridges in the back. I know a monitor lizard when I see one. This was not a monitor lizard. This had those ridges down its back.
Could you tell if it had smooth skin or scales?
It looked kind of bumpy, more like an alligator.
Right, okay.
On the sides. I don't think it had scales.
Okay.
I can't really be sure.
All right, well.
It's been a lot of years ago. It's 96, I mean, this is 1997.
I understand. Well, I've been saying for years there's a few dinosaurs still alive, and your first thought in your mind was something prehistoric, huh?
Well, of course, I had been preconditioned by all the education that I'd had up till that time that these things don't exist.
Whatever it is, it can't be a dinosaur. That's the first thought most people have.
Well, I considered it had to be some kind of a lizard.
Sure.
And because, you know, you have lizards from this size, of the little gecko lizards, right up to monitor lizards.
All right, now you work here at 100 Huntley Street, and what's the phone number here? So if they have any questions, they can call and ask for Cal Bombay.
My phone number is area code 905-335-7100, extension 3206.
All right, well, call them up if you don't believe it.
I saw it. I mean, a lot of people
still alive.
When I saw this picture, I thought, that's what I saw. I mean,
all right, let's get them to zoom in on this picture if you can real quick, and we'll close out with that. And if you have any questions, we'd be glad to help. Give us a call if you want more information on dinosaurs. You let us know, and we'll be glad to send you our videotape on creation, evolution, and dinosaurs. So that's what you saw that day, 1962.
That's as close as anything I've ever seen.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate the time, and God bless you.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.